Hi everyone, my name is Mark Vale and I'm here to show you a phone inventory solution based on SharePoint Online and PowerShell that will help keep your numbers in Skype for Business on premises and Cloud PBX online in check. So the reason why I came up with this solution was because a lot of my customers use Excel for their phone numbers and they were having trouble keeping a consistent data source within Excel, so they didn't have a single source of truth, for instance. So that obviously had some problems in that some numbers were getting assigned to more than one endpoint, which meant duplication and obviously routing issues with phone numbers. So I wanted to see whether there was a middle ground between Excel and the paid versions of DDI management solutions. So I'm going to begin by showing you how easy it is to install this solution. So before we start, you need a SharePoint Online site set up. It's just a regular team site. Unfortunately, SharePoint on premises is not supported. This has been coded purely for SharePoint Online. So when you download the phone inventory solution, you'll get a zip file and you want to extract that, and inside the folder you will see three subfolders called Components, Phone Inventory and SharePoint Online. So on your management computer there's a few prerequisites that you need. Obviously you need the Skype for Business Online Management Shell, and you also need the Skype for Business Server Management Components. So ideally you run this off your admin machine for Skype for Business Server if you've got that on premises. If you're cloud only, then you don't have to worry about that. And this is being run off a front-end server. So these components are already installed. First thing that we need to do though is go into the components folder, and we need to install the SharePoint client components. And then you notice we're using version 15 here. If you're using version 16, the solution won't work out of the box, so you'll need to edit some lines of code in the module. So this installation is really quite fast, doesn't require a reboot. As you can see, I'm running this in real time as I'm talking, and it's installed. The next thing you need to do is copy this folder called Phone Inventory, and you'll notice inside this folder we've got two files. We've got the PowerShell module, and we've also got the PowerShell data file. So the data file is important because it tells you what functions can be exported from the PowerShell module. So we want to copy this folder, and we're going to go to My Documents, and in My Documents we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this Windows PowerShell, I think it's called. And here we're going to create another folder called Modules. Just going to double check that folder. Windows PowerShell should be all one word, not two words. And in Modules we're going to paste that phone inventory folder here. And what that does, it allows when you launch the PowerShell application, that PowerShell will automatically load this module into your session, into your profile, without you having to type in the import -module command and then go to the path of the module. The last thing that we need to do, if we go back to phone inventory, is to go to the SharePoint Online folder, and this STP file called Phone Inventory is the SharePoint list template that we're going to use. So in your SharePoint site, first thing that we need to do is upload that list template to the SharePoint site. So we click on Site Contents, we go over to Site Settings, then we want to go over to Web Designer Galleries and click on List Templates. In here we want to click the Files tab and then click on Upload Document. From this window we want to browse to that folder and find the STP file. So again, into SharePoint Online phone inventory.stp. So we press OK to this, and this uploads a template which we can now save. If we save this, As we can see, now we've got the template uploaded. So we want to go back to the home page of the site, and we want to click on Add Lists, Libraries and Other Apps, and this will make the SharePoint custom list that we're using. So usually the app is found on the second page, and here we can see the app called Phone Inventory. So if we click on this and we want to give it a name, and you must call it Phone Inventory without any spaces for it to work, like so. And we press create. After this is created, you'll see the list here. We can click on it, and here we've got the custom list ready. What you can do is you can copy this link here, edit the side menu, and you can add in a link to take you straight to the phone inventory list. So here the list, you can see we've got fields such as phone number, extension, carrier, number type, country, etc. And we also got a field called assign to user, and this will retrieve all the assignments in Skype for Business, or Cloud PBX or on premises, to keep your phone inventory up to date. But as you can see now, we have no numbers here, so there are multiple ways to get phone numbers in. So obviously you can click on the new button here, and you can click on item, and then you can add in a phone number. But obviously this is okay for one phone number. If you want to add multiple, it's not the best solution. So like I say, the biggest power comes from the PowerShell module, which I'm now going to show you. Next, we're going to open up PowerShell, and we're going to connect to the SharePoint Online list and also to Skype for Business on premises and online. So as we open up the PowerShell commandlet, we want to type in connect -my phone inventory. And this command you must run at the start of each session, otherwise you won't be able to get the data from SharePoint. And this command comes with 4 parameters: username, and this username, they must have contribute access to the SharePoint list, and they must also have the relevant Skype for Business permissions to read telephone numbers and what have you. And you want to type in the password, and whatever your password is, and then also the URL of this site. So this is https myfluffy.sharepoint sites phone numbers, and then the file parameter is connect online. And if you set this to true, then this is going to connect to Skype for Business Online Management Shell and import the module. If it's false, which is the default value, then it won't connect to SharePoint Online. Not SharePoint, Skype for Business Online. So we can say this. So now I'm going to cheat a little bit because I didn't want my password to be displayed, and I've already entered this password into the code, so we won't need to pass any parameters. So if we connect in, now when this connects, what it's going to do is it's going to pull down the entire list of phone numbers that are in SharePoint list already. So if you've got many thousands of phone numbers, it's going to take some time downloading these numbers into memory. And the reason why it downloads into memory is because if we were to iterate the SharePoint list in directly in SharePoint Online, then a lot of the commands would run really slowly. So it's in the best interest of the module to download the entire list into memory. Once it's downloaded into memory, we can then leverage that cache, if you will, to perform some actions against the data. And then when the data is changed to an acceptable level, we can then sync the cache back to SharePoint. So that's basically how it works in a nutshell. So we just wait for this to download. As there's no numbers in SharePoint, this run relatively quick, and we'll be ready to go. So here we are. So now we're connected to SharePoint. So the first question is, how do we get some numbers in here? So there are multiple ways of doing this, like I said before. So, and the PowerShell module offers you 3 routes to get your numbers in. So route 1 is to use the import module, so the import my number block, and that is going to look for a path, and that path is going to be a CSV file. And in that CSV file, you're going to have all the data that's required to populate these fields. For more information on the field names, check out my blog on my Skype for B website. But obviously we're not going to use the CSV file. The second way of adding in is to use add my new number block, and this command allows you to basically enter a start number, which must be in the E164 format. Let's say it's 01785 500 for 4000, say that's too many, 400. Let's say that's my start number, and I have a block of 20 numbers in sequence from this number, and the number is a subscriber number. I know the area is going to be Stoke, or Stafford rather. Then the country is United Kingdom. And then you want to add your carrier in, maybe this is Vodafone. And then the extension length. So if you've got extensions, then you can provide a length. If you don't provide anything here, then the default extension length is 4. So let's say we're going to be really naughty and use extension length of 3. And then we could say the site, and the site is just a custom site to what your site. So we could say Stafford Factory, for instance. And then we could say whether it's going to be reserved or not. We'll come on to reserved in a bit. And then the final parameter is residency, I think, but let's press enter. Yep, so we need to fix that in. So there's 2 options for residency. So this is on-prem or online. Basically, this is where the number terminates. Is it a cloud identity or is it an on-premises PSTN number? So once we've done that, we can press enter, and what this is going to do is going to add in 20 numbers in sequence from 500 400 to 500 420. Okay, we see because we've added it, we're going to sync the cache and pull that cache back. So if we now go to the SharePoint list and press refresh and click on change the view to all items, we can now see that we've got these numbers populated. So that's number 2. So obviously most people are going to be using this. They've got Skype for Business already, and they might have a bunch of users in Skype like we have here, and they might already have line URI set, so they might already have numbers here. So how do we get these numbers into the phone inventory solution? Now, you could take an export and do it the CSV way, but the best way of doing it is to run the sync command, sync my numbers from Skype, and what this will do is it will go through your Skype configuration and export every single number assigned to a user, whether it's a line URI, a private line, a shared line, an RGS number, trusted application endpoint number, exchange contact object, you name it, any number, anywhere in Skype that uses a number, the script will go through and it will update the SharePoint list with that inventory. So every time you have a move, add, change, delete in Skype, you want to run this command to make sure that phone inventory list keeps up to date. So highly recommend that you run this command as a scheduled task, maybe once a day, twice a week or something, depending on how often you have changes. So if we run this command here, so it's going to go through doing user numbers first. It's going to add in about 100 numbers, so it's going to take a while. So just take a pause right now. So now it's back and it's synchronizing the cache. It's done all the conference numbers and RGS numbers, and we now see that we're complete. So if we go back to here now and we refresh the screen, the page, we can see here now we've got all these numbers added in, and we've got the SIP addresses assigned to these numbers. Now, because we didn't specify a carrier or a country or area, obviously the list isn't going to know that. But if you have, if you sign up to a site called numverify.com, they have an API that allows the script to populate the carrier, country, and area information based off the phone number. So you can call that API in the script. If you want to know how to enable that feature, please check the blog. It does work. The reason why it's not working here right now is because I've reached my 250 API calls per month, having to test this, and I have to wait until the best part of April and to get that renewal. So if you want any more than 250, it's a subscription based on the amount of API calls you want per month. So obviously, as you can see here now in the list, we've got these assignments here. Imagine that all this is populated, so there's a bunch of information that you can call on. So you could filter on number type if you wanted to, and say, well, how many conference numbers have I got in, and therefore it pulls back the conferencing piece. So back to PowerShell. So now we've got the probably the most common command you're going to be running once you've imported your numbers into the system is the get my next number command. Now what this will do is, if you run this on its own, it will return the first available number in the SharePoint list based on the ID number. Now obviously this is not super helpful, because obviously it could return a number that's out of area for the user or the service that you want to assign it to. So we've included some additional parameters such as area. So we can say get my next number in area Stafford, and then perhaps I want to make sure that I don't get that my next number is not a conferencing number, but rather a subscriber number. So we can specify the number type as subscriber. We tap through, and then we can say, well, perhaps I don't want just to return just the first available number. I want to return the next 10, for instance. So I can use the block parameter and specify 10. What this is going to do is that it's going to perform a soft reservation in the data cache in memory that allows you to iterate through get my next number when you come to enable bulk services or bulk users. Obviously, if we didn't reserve the number, then the next available number will be always be the first number that's returned, unless we synchronize the cache and Skype for Business with SharePoint. So obviously, as this scales out and gets into the many tens of thousands of numbers, that command is going to get longer and longer and longer to complete. So that's the reason why we do it this way. And for that reason, you might want to put the get my next number into a variable or in a for each loop in your script, for instance. So we can say here we want to get the next 10 numbers from Stafford, and they want them to be subscriber numbers. Press enter, and the numbers are instantly returned. So you can use this command in your scripts in order to appropriate the correct numbers to the users. As I mentioned before then, if you've made some changes, now you've assigned these numbers to users as services, we want to make sure that SharePoint is aware of these changes so that nobody else running the script, or the PowerShell module rather, on another machine can use the same numbers. So you want to run the sync cache command, and what this does, it basically uploads the data held in memory to SharePoint and make sure that all SharePoint's up to date and what have you. So we can do that. And again, this command will take longer and longer as the list grows, and my estimates when I was through testing was it takes about 1 minute per 5,000 items. So, and while we're on the 5,000 items topic, so obviously SharePoint has a list view limit of 5,000, but has a theoretical maximum list item limit of about 50 million. And I never say use this for 50 million worth of phone numbers, but I've had this running with about 20,000 phone numbers in it, and it works reasonably well. So the next command I want to show you is to reserve my number range. And this is useful if you want to reserve a block of numbers in a specific range for a future use, whether you're deploying a new solution or whether you need it for new starters or what have you. You don't want those to be allocated to other resources in advance. So you can do this in a number of ways. For more information, obviously see my blog post on it. But let's say I want to reserve 5 numbers from Stafford. So, and there would be 5 subscriber numbers, and do this. What this is going to do, it's going to go and reserve those numbers. So here we can see that an output of the numbers it's reserved, and if we go to SharePoint and refresh the page, we can filter on reserve for yes. We can see here that we've reserved those numbers, and these numbers can't be assigned to users if you do the get my next number. Obviously, if you've reserved too many, let's say you reserve 2 numbers too many, there is a release my number range command that accepts the same parameters. I can say release me 2 numbers out of that. Oop, wrong. My bad. I need to have the start number. Why is that? I know why I've run command, sorry. Release my reserved number, not release my number range. And we say start number. Actually, we do area, Stafford, number type, and then let me say we want to release 2 numbers. So there we go, we've released the first 2 numbers out of there. Again, if you refresh this, you'll notice that the 401 numbers will disappear. So now we've already reserved 402 to 404. So there are a few other count commands as well. So we've got count my available number, which basically will give you a list of how many available numbers that you've got. You could do that by area, you can do it by carrier, area and carrier, area carrier number type for instance, or you could just do get my available number, and that tells you that we have 18 numbers out of 125 there that we've got free. So quickly see how many available numbers in your entire inventory that you've got, and if you wanted to obviously break that down to area, you can do that as well. So we can say that we're using 18 of 21 numbers in Stafford, for instance. So what else have we got? We could also got come on to the online ones as well. We can say how many reserved numbers have we got. You know, we're using there's the 3 numbers reserved in the entire inventory, and this is kind of useful if you wanted to do some scavenging or release a few numbers that are just sitting there gathering dust, and it'll stop you from from worrying about having to order more DDIs from your carrier, you may be able to obviously recycle some. So obviously this supports Cloud PBX as well, and in the same manner as I showed you the sync my numbers from Skype command that does on premises, we also have a sync my online number. Now this commandlet basically does the same thing as on premises, goes after Cloud PBX, gathers all the numbers that are assigned and acquired to your tenant, and then imports them into the list. It will also obviously keep up to date with assignments in Cloud PBX as well, so who the number's assigned to, what area it's in, and what have you. So there are a couple of limitations right now, in fact that there's no PowerShell module for call queues, so we can't identify the SIP address or the name of the call queue that a service number is assigned to, but we can actually identify that it is assigned to a service called call queue. So at least we give that information, and we're able to retrieve organizational auto attendant names and assignments, and obviously conferences, conference numbers, and obviously user numbers. So again, like I said, this command accepts no parameters. We just click enter. We can see that here we got the numbers getting added in from Cloud PBX. So and we're synchronizing cache. So if we refresh this page, and if we change the residency, filter it to online, actually we've got a view here, I'll do this. So if we change the view to online numbers, and this references any Cloud PBX number, we can see here that we've got all the numbers from Cloud PBX, the carrier's Microsoft, whether it's service or subscriber number, what region it's based in, the area. Now one thing on the note on the area, you'll notice that it's got a code, so EMEA, GB, all ENG-LI for Liverpool, MA for Manchester, and then we've got WLS, which is Wales, and RH is RIL. And there seems to be no way of actually interpreting that into plain text right now through PowerShell. So this information is useful for doing your get my next online number, because you base it on area. You just want to copy this through. Obviously assigned to user, you can see there that we've got it's either to a call queue or it's to an auto attendant. Right, what else have we got to show you? So we have some specific commands for online use. So we have get my online available number, so that will return, well, area GB all. That will return you all the available numbers that are in a specific area. If you want to make that in a table form, just pipe it to a format table, and it'll give you that information in a tabular form. Obviously, you can use this in any scripts that you want to use. You can also have get my online next number in the same manner. We can get the next available number from the area of RIL, for instance. Again, we've got some count commands. We've got the ability to reserve online numbers in the SharePoint list, etc. Same as the on-premises version. Again, check out the blog for all list of all the commands that are in the module. And I hope that this is semi-useful to some people. Obviously, there are other solutions out there. I'm not saying that this is any better or worse. Well, any better at least. But it was more of a project to see what can be done. Extending it slightly, we can show to just deselect that. Obviously, being with a SharePoint list, we can do other things through Office 365 as well. So we can basically convert or add this list to a Power App, for instance. So we can create an app. We can give this an app inventory. I've already got phone inventories one, so we can create this in Power Apps, and we can create a mobile application that allows you to edit this list on a mobile device if you've got the Power Apps app downloaded. So I think there's support for Windows Mobile or Windows 10 Mobile, whatever it is now, and obviously Android and iOS. So the apps, create Power Apps are really easy, straightforward. It does it pretty much all for you. Obviously I've got some internet trouble right now, which is not the best, but never mind. And also we have the ability to connect Power BI desktop to the SharePoint list to produce some graphs on consumption and what have you, so you can have full visibility of your number inventory. So this was like half an hour quick introduction into this project and this solution. It is still in beta at this moment, at the time of this recording. There are a couple of bugs, as you can see, where we said the auto attendant, it's now running. It's actually returned the main office auto attendant rather than just declaring it as an auto attendant. So yeah, so I hope you find it useful. If you have any feedback, if it's missing any features or something's not working, then please reach out to me on my blog, comment in the section on there, or email me at mark@365.live, and I'll do my best to resolve any of those issues. And that's it from me. I hope this has been useful, and we'll see you next time on the next episode. Thank you very much.